god, and we're going until 10:40?
Yeah, six full-length things today.
What does that say? 1:50 to 3:10? To 3:40, so we have a half hour there.
So Ma's at the Loft. So we were only at the Loft once today, and we're at the Music Hall. So
3S.
Music Hall, Loft, Music Hall, 3S, Music Hall. So at least we'll get some walking around.
One of our most brutal days.
Yeah, this could be brutal. Welcome to the last podcast. This is part 2 of our coverage from the New Hampshire Film Festival. And, okay, look. Obviously, this episode and the last one were recorded before the election. And when I put the episode up last week, I just wanted to preserve for a little while longer the world where we didn't know what happened. We can't ignore what happened, and we won't. But I do like the last podcast providing kind of a respite from the darkness on the edge of town. But I think I have a productive way of doing that going forward. Because it seems to me that one of the most important things now is building community. Strengthening our bonds to each other and creating more networks and channels between neighbors and like-minded people. There are very optimistic and very grim reasons why we might need these things, but we need these things regardless. So community is going to be a focal point for the 3rd season of this podcast, which we're getting started on right now. And these episodes, too, about the New Hampshire Film Festival, these are meant to be a celebration of community, of Portsmouth, of film culture, of voices and crowds. And there's going to be more of that in a lot of different ways coming soon. And I hope it'll help. Josh, what's the favorite thing you've seen at the festival so far this year? What's your favorite movie you've seen?
The favorite movie I've seen so far is, what was it called? Always Shine.
Oh yeah, that was last night.
Yeah, it was last night at 3S, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting and had some complicated characters and some kind of unanswered questions, and it was really provocative.
Yeah, that's what you want from a movie like Film Festival.
I want to be provoked.
Yeah. And in general, what's your favorite part about the festival?
I think it's very cool that there's a lot of independent films that you would never hear of otherwise on Netflix that all come to our hometown, and you can just kind of have a field day and get exposed to a lot of different stuff you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely the popcorn.
So, Zach, what is your favorite part of the festival so far?
I like the experience of going, from screening to screening, place to place, sitting down and kind of, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know what you're about to get, ever, Sometimes you have some vague sense. Sometimes you have no sense at all. I knew this last thing was like a documentary. It had something to do with a guy who danced to a video of Take Me to Church, and that...
Which in itself is not necessarily a description that makes you want to watch it, but
no,
oh my gosh.
Yes, but so, it's amazing what context will do for you. And it's about so much more than that, but it also is sort of about that. But what I love about it is just that experience. Mm-hmm. I love going from place to place, even if it is just walking out of the screening room, then walking back in 10 minutes later. I love the idea of sitting down and the lights go down, and other than the ads that you're going to see every time for Provident Bank and Portsmouth Chevrolet, everything else is a mystery for the next hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And that's a very rare movie-going experience, and it's also very rare that you get to do it 30 times in a row across 4 days. And I love all of that. Now, Christy, what is your favorite part of the festival-going experience?
I like having somebody else at least tell me how I should be feeling. Because they're creating this thing that I have to sit there and, endure regardless of, how involved I was in the so I'm sitting down and being part of that for hour and a half or whatever, and they can tell me how to feel, and when they succeed in making me feel that way, I'm so pleased.
So you like going around and just emotionally submitting, and
Yeah.
just hoping that someone will take you on a journey or make you feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do, you're right. When they do, it's amazing.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah. Kale, what have you seen at the festival so far?
I've seen a couple of famous people and a lot of red cameras.
Yeah, Josh Myers is right over there.
Yeah.
Here's a joke that Christy and I wrote the other day. Okay? The thing about a lot of words is it's all about tone and inflection, Like the word fine. Like the other day, my wife tried on this new outfit, and she asked me how she looked, and I said, "Damn, girl, you look fine."
Since we just got out of Ma, should we talk about Ma?
Yeah, I think so. So, we just saw the film Ma.
Which is the first full-length silent I've seen.
Yeah, the first full-length silent film that we saw at the festival.
I think Portsmouth maybe wasn't ready.
Yeah, a film that's so weird it tested the weirdness threshold of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, of all places.
Though, I think a well-informed group of people maybe, because people, if you're looking for that kind of thing and you know that this is going to be a challenge, there are plenty of people in Portsmouth. They just weren't there.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that's not to say that some people in the room didn't enjoy it, right? I mean, I thought it was cool. There were other people that were clapping, other than us at the end.
There was like 3. I know it's not true, but I was picturing the people that were directly in front of us as that was like their first date, because at one point she like looked over at him and like smiled. But the smile was like so much work. I was like
I like movies where someone from a different discipline, in this case someone who's apparently mostly makes their money as a choreographer, brings, almost more of their trade to the thing than movie making. It's like, what's a dancer and choreographer's idea of a movie if like they'd never seen any movies? Like,
yeah,
just bring your stuff to it, and it ends up creating something that's really strange and very unlike anything I'd really seen before. I thought there were a lot of really, really pretty images. So here's something that I need to confess to you, dear listener. Christy and I started drinking today at 3 o'clock p.m. Now, we didn't have any other drinks after that drink at 3 o'clock p.m., but we really needed it because of the second film that we saw, which was called The Architect.
So, I heard you guys found a house.
We made an offer. There's been some back and forth. It's practically a teardown.
There's history here, too. This house was rented one summer by Courtney Love.
Starring Parker Posey and Will from Will and Grace. I can't remember what his name is, but he looks like...
who he is?
Yeah, he looks like if Luke Wilson had a baby with present-day John Travolta. So, The Architect. There are two things that independent film tends to do, I think. I think it tends to revel in poor people, and I think it tends to revel in rich people. And both subsets are sort of oogled in like a different sort of way. But I mean, there's comedies. There's like Nicole Holofcener movies like Friends with Money. There's kind of like comedies of manners about rich people, and then there's whatever this is. Which, I mean, every joke seems designed to just create like lukewarm titters in a dinner party.
But also, a lot of them weren't like jokes too.
I feel like this is not the first movie that I've seen with Parker Posey doing pretty much exactly this. It's sort of spoofing rich people and people who like art, but also people who don't like art. And it doesn't have... When I think about movies about rich white people, there are two different varieties. There's like the Nicole Holofcener constantly calling attention to and questioning and exploring the nature of being a rich white person. And then there's like Nancy Meyers movies with what's the lady who... Very famous actress. Most famous actress. Meryl Streep. I hated this movie. I'm trying to talk about why I didn't like it. Maybe you have notes that will help us. Your microphone is next to your ear.
That's not how this works.
No.
Hello. Don't you feel like this movie would have been so much better if it kind of... Well, firstly, if it had like a different person like running the show, or just like take it and like add a couple of really dark like minds into the process, and there's like just like a little bit more twisted, a little bit like rougher, a little bit darker.
Yeah,
would have just totally made it fine. But it was like so like oddly half sunny that it was like toneless.
As an architect, I have the job of transforming hopes and dreams into wood, glass, steel, and concrete. But if the dreams aren't there, there's very little I can do.
Do you know that there was a Donald Trump thing happening at the Toyota garage today?
Like a Donald Trump campaign event or something?
Yeah.
Huh.
And we bought my car from there.
Fuckers.
Here, let me grab this.
I am.
So without further ado, this is...
Hi, Zach. Are you guys on iTunes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What is it called?
It's called The Last Podcast.
Oh, are you the last podcast?
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully. So what's your favorite part about the film festival, other than getting a chance to, like, razz Tom Bergeron every couple of years?
That and seeing all the amazing documentaries. Mm-hmm. And I love the first run features as well, but I really enjoy the docs and the shorts. And getting to meet up-and-coming filmmakers and supporting them, and getting to meet people like you.
Yeah.
And talking to really cool people. I just met Josh Myers, Seth's brother.
Yes.
So it's kind of an opportunity to have community. There he is.
Yeah.
So it's fun. I love it.
So it's 11 o'clock p.m. We're driving home from night 3 of the New Hampshire Film Festival, and we just saw Todd Solondz film, Wiener Dog. What did you think?
I think that people were extremely disproportionately grumpy at the end.
Well,
it was a similar situation where like it was only like a fifth or a sixth of the population clapping.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it was a fairly transparent, not to say anything in particular about the end of the movie, but it was a fairly transparent, like, finger in your eye, you know? And so, and also kind of only the way it could have ended. So the idea that people would react, they would be so irritated by something that was obviously supposed to irritate them, was kind of like, come on, guys.
Mostly obnoxious.
Yeah, come on, guys. Don't pretend to play into it so hard. I don't know.
I think this has probably been my biggest obstacle this weekend, has been dealing with other people's reactions.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not as though that represents the majority of, like, the festival audience, because everywhere you go at this film festival, you hear people talking about movies, you know, and talking about what they liked mostly. You don't hear a lot of, outside of the very end of movies, you don't hear a lot of negativity. And maybe people walk away from it and then they kind of process it a little bit and then they go, actually, I liked that. Maybe. So we talked a bit earlier about The Eyes of My Mother. Because I had to capture your sort of leaving the theater exuberance. You're grinning a little too much after what a sadistic movie we just saw.
It was perfect.
Yeah?
There was no complaints.
Yeah.
And every single shot was beautiful.
It was beautifully shot.
It was the best visual I've had yet. The interesting thing, though, it wasn't completely black and white.
No?
No, there was mixes of tiny little bits of color that you couldn't really, quickly see. But every single shot was beautiful. Mm-hmm. And I'm thrilled.
I felt there was a section toward the end where, I legitimately felt sick.
Wow.
And that's only ever happened one other time watching a movie, which is funny because it also had to do with cannibalism. So
I wouldn't say this had to do with cannibalism.
It was cannibalism adjacent. And so at least I know I'm definitely not a cannibal.
I haven't been thrilled by a movie quite so much in a while. It was exhilarating.
Well, great. I'm really excited. I think I felt similarly, but also really bad.
Also, you have a very physical issue.
Yes. No, what I would say is I wouldn't say that I'm exhilarated so much as I am exhausted.
So, Zach, how many films is too many?
I think maybe we'll find out in the middle of the day today or something if suddenly we just can no longer process visual information. But I mean, it's definitely not too many, but there's a such thing as a physically straining amount.
Have you experienced that at all yet?
No, but that's because we skipped a movie last night to go have dinner instead.
So 7 would be too many.
Yeah, I think 7 in one day would be too many. We opted for 6 instead yesterday, and that was the right figure. But I don't understand. We talk to people who say "Oh yeah, we can go to some movies today. Tomorrow we're going for a bike ride." And I'm like, "What? There are more movies." What are you doing going on a bike ride?
So that brings us to our first documentary of the day, Cinema Travelers. And we got to talk earlier to Shirley Abraham, who was one of the directors.
And she was lovely.
Yeah, and she was really great. But so let's talk about the movie, which is about these kind of remote areas in India where some very dedicated movie-loving guys have these specially outfitted trucks that they take around to fairs and bring movies to areas where there's not a movie theater. And the movie ends up being about kind of these guys reckoning with digital transition, trying to hold on to a love of movies. I think we know.
Yeah, that's why we're taking us. I don't want to rush anything.
Oh, no, it's cool.
Well, I think there was definitely a lot going on in your movie about, it has a lot on its mind about movies, and I really appreciated that. And I really liked the scene in the cave when that guy was talking about how cinema as a storytelling technique is still kind of brand new.
Oh, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. In fact, it was one of the most challenging days of shoot because this man was going to buy a digital machine.
Yeah.
And it was like this business transaction, and an extra long business transaction. It took the whole day. And then this other guy who's selling him the machine, he invites him to go into the caves. And they don't call caves in the local language. There is another name for it, so I had no idea that we were going to go in the caves. But through the course of making this film, I've always wanted to be able to reflect on the place that cinema has in our civilization, as a way of inspiring people who will come after us. It's really like, the cathedrals that we are all looking at today, and we are wondering how is it that they were making this in their time, because they had no technology, but they had an imagination, and that is a legacy that we are leaving for each other, and that really is also the place of cinema. So when we went into the caves and they were reflecting upon all this, those are the gifts of documentary. You cannot find those things elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. You said that was one of the hardest days of shooting. What was the best day of shooting?
It turned out to be the best day of shooting, because eventually it went into a space where we were able to reflect on the place cinema has in our culture and in our lives, and it's not very easy to do that in documentaries without saying it. It's very easy to tell, but we found a way of showing it, and it was so exciting.
Yeah, that was actually my favorite part, because you're right, it's a really complicated thing to even try to explain, but sometimes there's an example that's just such a perfect way of showing it. So do you think that now, with new technology and everybody has cameras on their phones and everything, how do you think it's going to change? Do you think people don't have to work as hard as they did when they had to carve everything out of stone, or is it all just different?
I think we are drawing inspiration from the same place. It is the same instinct that drives us to create those, those etchings and those paintings on the walls, as the instinct that tells us to go and make a white box that is a digital projector. Because in both cases, we want to move forward as human beings. We want to continue to live through our creation. So I think the instinct is the same. I mean, we might need to work lesser probably.
Yeah.
But we may have more tools. But as long as we have our imagination, I think we'll do fine.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. Thank you for the movie.
So, I really like that movie. I really like that documentary, and I love that the music hall, they do this on purpose. I think maybe last year or the year before, they did the Roger Ebert documentary, Life Itself, on Sunday morning. And it's like on Sunday morning, as the festival is winding down, they do a documentary about movies and about love of movies, and it kind of just it reinforces everything that you've absorbed for the last couple of days. And it's like, yeah, movies, they're awesome, right? Here's a documentary about how other people are feeling the same way you're feeling as this festival draws to a close. And it's a really lovely programming choice.
After that, we saw a film called A Woman Apart, which starred Maggie Siff, who is one of the trifecta of brunette women from Mad Men that I constantly conflate with each other. But who did we decide she was? Rachel Menken.
She's Rachel Menken.
Rachel Menken from Mad Men plays a 40-something actress who is depressed and upset with her role on a popular television
show. Zach's dying. Hold, please. Hold, please. Hold, please.
An actress on a popular television show, and she's frustrated with her role this season or whatever, and so she goes back to New York for a while to reconnect with her old loser theater friends.
This is not at all my scene. I don't participate in theater. I'm not a professional actress. I don't usually enjoy those kinds of things. But I absolutely loved this. My whole page of notes is just praise.
Cool. Yeah, I liked it a lot too. And I know it's not really my scene either, but I think that's okay because you'd be surprised what theater people like. Like, a lot of them like Birdman, which makes no fucking sense to me. Birdman is garbage. This movie was pretty good. Let's talk about some of the things that we liked about it. I really like Maggie Siff.
That was good.
I think for the last couple of years she's been moored on the island of Sons of Anarchy. So now that show's over, we'll probably see her in a lot more stuff.
I think the characters, the written characters, and then the actors themselves were so well, like all tied together, that you like cared about them. You felt like you knew everybody and cared about everybody like right away.
Yeah.
And I feel like the funny thing is that like probably about 20 minutes in, just because she like went home, I already like, well, not home, but to like her like little apartment way by herself down in New York. But like I already like, I just like 20 minutes in, I got like a shiver because I was just like, I was like, oh, I'm home. And I got that for her. It was really interesting.
Yeah. That's a really rare thing in a movie where you get a real sense of like place and context. And it's, I don't know. There's no particular thing I can point to say when it works and when it doesn't, but it is definitely it's magic when it works. There's the actor who played the character of Isaac. His last name's Ortiz. He was on Togetherness and he's in Silver Linings Playbook.
Togetherness.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That guy's great.
Yeah,
everything I see that guy in, I love him in, and he has like a particular kind of. He's got the Philip Seymour Hoffman gene of like well-meaning, sometimes comes across incorrectly pathos. Like he's a well-meaning person who bumbles through other people's emotional lives. That's how he always seems to play. and he does a great job doing that.
So we saw a lot of movies, 15 feature films and 30-something short films over the course of the 4 days. And these episodes only contain excerpts of a lot of conversations, but I feel like we made a lot of good little points along the way, like bits and pieces of audio that don't necessarily require full context. So this is the lightning round. Of course, it's my podcast, so it's going to be a pretty languid and breezy lightning round, like a lazy summer storm kind of lightning round, if you will.
So, quite a lot to unpack. Quite a lot to base your short film around. Like, who is the person who says, this story needs to be told? This story about this woman wanting to fuck her sister's ghost. I think if you're going to make a short film about what's going on in Syria, I think that is a situation that is serious and heavy enough that the thing you make has to be equally serious and heavy, because otherwise it feels like you're sort of co-opting tragedy. And to kind of just have this little two-hander interrogation room.
And almost trying to be funny sometimes, too.
Yeah. Felt like kind of a misfire.
I wasn't super interested in it.
Do you have any particular thoughts?
No. My notes literally say that it was lacking a reason to be interesting.
You know, there's a very, very, very well-known saying that tragedy plus tragedy, what is it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Comedy equals tragedy plus time, or something like that. And it's very true that there can be this documentary where people are laughing hysterically about a murder in the 1700s, and who did or didn't do it, and you know, it was an axe murder. It's not like it was like a, you know, I'm trying to think of a murder that would be funny by nature of not being too grisly. I don't know. But no, all murder should inherently not be funny. And yet, 250 years later, we can laugh a little.
Where the other movies that we had were technically all very good and everything were lacking art, I think Ghost Trio found all that extra art.
Yes. So Ghost Trio was another silent and very gothic film about a girl who sticks a gun in her mouth, dances around,
lays on a bed, packs a suitcase, crawls into a
By
trash
telephone
can.
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the only thing I had negative was that when their first close-up cut, there was no like external sound. It was all front mic. It wasn't like the
No room noise.
yeah
No street noise.
Street noise. It had street noise and then it went like and then it came back.
Which is something that sometimes I have felt. There were certain short films that we saw that used an absence of sound or only a few little pieces of sound to great effect. Like, sometimes you need to have the sound of the street and the voices and everything and the way that your foot sounds as you step over here and you pick up the jar and whatever. And sometimes you can get away with just like the sound of your feet and the sound of a person breathing or something. You don't have to have anything else, you know. I think it always really depends. I think you have to really trust your ear.
The whole moral to this thing is everybody needs a service dog and a caregiver, and then the world would be a better place.
Service dogs just like, you know how people on the internet will post a picture of dogs and say like dogs are so pure. That was like the first time I ever felt like, oh, dogs are so pure. They are. All they want to do is help. They're the best. There's something to be said for like interrupting the momentum a little bit. And I like that better than the thing we were talking about earlier, which is that every indie movie that's about 90 minutes, at the 65-minute mark, there's a montage of the city for some fucking reason, always in every movie. And I hate that. I don't believe this movie did that. I think The Architect did. Yes, The Architect is the one who did it this time.
Yes.
Which, you know, just chalk that up among the movie's many sins.
By the way, solved the couple's dispute behind me. They're like, is this Maine or is this the Pacific Northwest? Is this Maine or is it Pacific
And then
Northwest?
someone said Space Needle. I heard that.
Well, yeah, but then at one point he announced that it was the Pacific Northwest, and then she said something, and then he was like, no, that's Seattle, and then he was like, Space Needle, and like they just kept like shouting all of these like.
I'm sorry that I didn't hear the whole conversation, because I
Oh
could
my
have turned
God.
around and said, it's Parker Posey, it's Seattle.
Okay, so what's going on with the girl in the barrel? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but the style of it, like every shot did seem intentional, and the coloring of everything in the shot seemed that way, even the light, and I didn't feel like anything wasn't thought about. And that was my big hang up today, is the frustration of seeing these people have these opportunities and all these monetary donations and all this other stuff going on, and they're not doing everything they can to make it as an intentional as they can.
And I guess I just like that kind of people are moving away from, not to bring up girls again, but the kind of grayish, brownish girls aesthetic that kind of signified for a couple of years this is a story about young people. I like that we're moving now more toward like Spring Breakers, like not as severe as Spring Breakers, but you know, we're getting colorful again. And I like that. Speaking as someone who desaturated the shit out of all of my videos for years.
Added grain and film effect.
Yeah, I'm ready for color again. I'm ready for nice color. And I mean that in the best possible way. It was a very well-meaning shockwave of white guilt, and the reverberations of it are still being felt. And I felt like the guy who played JFK did a good job keeping it very understated. Because when people play JFK, there's always a temptation to go way over the top with your Kennedy voice there, and you know, this thing and the other, and of course, never before, but ever shall there be many strange pronunciations of words when you are John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
I need to go to bed.
I don't even remember how it ended.
The father got deported, and then
Right.
they wrapped it up.
Yeah.
They said, you know.
We'd like to thank the New Hampshire Film Festival organizers, particularly Amber Green and Dan Hannon. We had a great time, as we do every year. Thanks also to Chuck McMahon at Vital Design. Thanks to everybody who appeared in these episodes, including Dan Freund, Josh Goodrich, Raydon Chong, and particularly the filmmakers Josh Peterson and Shirley Abraham, who, by the way, took home the top prizes at the festival. You can check out Josh Peterson's work at sweepshutter.com, and The Cinema Travelers is playing at the Amsterdam International Documentary Film Festival on November 24th and 27th. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon.
I thought about this in 2 different short films that we saw. I thought there are so many ways that slight technical stuff, like particularly sound mixing, can really hang you out to dry as an actor. And I think there are people who can act sort of less believably, but if they have the technical cushion, if everything is edited nicely and everything sounds perfect and everything, then they get away with it a little more.
It would be fine.
And the other thing I thought about was the room that we were seeing this in. It was a tiny little theater. It was at capacity every single time we went to these screenings, except for like one randomly, inexplicably in the middle of the day, where like half the room was empty. But I don't know how the sound system in there works. I don't know about the technical whatevers of how the files get submitted and what they sound like and everything. And I wanted to say at some point in this podcast to people who are creating things at this level and submitting things to festivals or having things screened, when you make something, you gotta watch it. You gotta see how it plays under the worst possible circumstances. You have to see how it sounds and looks on like every possible system in every kind of room, because there are certain sound issues that you don't notice. When I'm editing this podcast, there are things that I hear when I'm listening to it without headphones in my car or on the computer or something that I catch that in headphones I can't hear.
I was thinking that visually, I think I wrote that down on the next page, that it matters visually where your screen, like what your screen's resolution is, and you know what, I'll get to that later, but yeah, visually the same thing.
I think that that's something that so many people, there are hugely talented, creative people who don't think about that long tail of the end of the life of this thing that you create and the way that it'll be seen. I mean, I remember watching like Mike when he would watch Rock and Sock and Robot episodes, which he loved. He loved Rock and Sock and Robot, and he would watch it on his computer at work, and our Wi-Fi was so bad and the animation just like would not work. He was basically watching it as like a sort of mostly static comic because like the mouths wouldn't move, and it would drive me crazy. And I thought, when I would think about the fact that a lot of the people that were watching it were probably watching it under circumstances that were less than good. I mean, it made me think, oh my God, I want to take all this off the internet, and I just want to go around in like a bus with a TV screen and just show it to people the one way I can control it. And I was thinking about being one of the people who made one of the short films in that room, and if there's like something wrong with the way it was projected or the way it sounds, or just there's some kind of weird commotion that happens over here that distracts everybody from the beginning, that would drive me crazy. And there's so many unknowables, and there's so much you have to like. I don't want to make everyone who creates things listening to this podcast, I don't want to make them all OCD about everything, but it's like you have to think about it under every possible circumstance.
Absolutely. But you can't, guarantee that no one's going to get up to go to the bathroom when you have that one little quiet line that, you're supposed to hear. And
I know, it's so awful though.
So please don't say that you're going to make them feel bad, because it's not like you can't control the audience.
I guess you have to accept that. You have to accept
you can control how it sounds and looks on all different formats.
Yeah, you have to be in film as in life. Try to control as much as you possibly can.
Oh, jeez.